I did a finance degree and I was never taught what money is or how it actually works. And I had to teach myself years later. And once I did, it was quite the wake up call. Money is one side of every single financial transaction you've ever made, from every coffee you've bought to every payslip you've received. It is literally half of your entire economic life, and yet in the classroom it gets zero attention. In school, we spent years memorizing arguably trivial information that wasn't very useful after the exam. But money, the thing we interact with every single day and that we measure society through, barely gets any explanation. Henry Ford was a guy who heavily criticized Wall Street bankers and the Federal Reserve System. In 1937, a congressman named Charles Binderup paraphrased him as having said, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Since then, the financial and monetary system has become a lot more complicated and a lot less transparent, and it still has the same underlying flaws. Here's the thing, the institutions that benefit from your ignorance are the ones who are funding the research for what gets taught in schools and universities and what gets excluded. Central banks, banks, governments, and politically connected institutions benefit enormously from a monetary system where the money is centrally controlled and infinite in supply. Economists call this the Cantillon effect. Whoever's closest to the money printer benefits the most at the expense of everyone else. Even JP Morgan himself said in a 1912 congressional testimony, "Money is gold and everything else is credit." And that is the problem. Today's money is credit. Since 1971, it has still been an IOU, but it's redeemable for nothing because there's no gold backing it up. And because there's nothing to back it up, its supply has grown exponentially since 1971. So when the money is broken, everything else breaks with it. Scarce assets like housing and stocks become people's de facto savings vehicles because they can't simply store their time and energy in the money. Savings rates have collapsed over the last 55 years, and indebtedness, which is essentially shorting the currency, has grown exponentially. And your ability to retire disappears pretty fast because costs grow exponentially relative to your savings or your ability to earn. None of this would exist in a free and open market where money was chosen for its monetary properties, not dictated to us by government decree. The system we're in today only exists because 55 years ago we abandoned the gold standard and handed control of the money over to some centralized institutions who can expand the supply at their own discretion. So before you dive into inflation or central banks or how interest rates are set, I want you to ask yourself just one simple question. What is money? Start there because the rabbit hole is pretty deep.